Professor Magabuchi Doko joins us now. He's the ASUU Progressive, he's the chairman, ASUU Progressives in Nnamdi Azikiwe University, Oka, beg your pardon, Nnamdi Azikiwe University. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you.
Well, we just had Professor Odimegu say, look, your group, although exists, because he knows a member or two, but they're not recognized.
Let me first of all start by correcting the impression created on the screen that there is a division in Anambra State ASUU. It is not Anambra State ASUU, but Nnamdi Azikiwe University, as otherwise called ASUU NAYU. So currently we have two major factions. The already existing one before the birth of ASUU Progressive, and then ours, which is called ASUU NAYU Progressives, which I am the leader. And if you want me to go further, as the last speaker stated, ASUU NAYU was moribund, was in a state of moribund for 10 years. It was in 2001, though I was not in that university, that they had a problem. And from that 2001 to 2012, there was no ASUU until June, 4th June of 2012.
So you both agree on that fact?
Yes. And there was a kind of election which ASUU National sent delegate. And before the election took place on that fateful day, there were litigations. Members disagreed on the modus operandi of that election. Eventually, that election took place because it seemed that ASUU National was hell-bent on having ASUU in Nnamdi Azikiwe University, which in a part is correct, could be accepted. That election took place and saw the election of my colleague, Professor Odimegu, who in their usual character, since they started piloting the affairs of ASUU NAYU, described me as one Professor Magabuchi Doko, a colleague that is in the same department with me. I want to underscore that as the character of ASUU NAYU executive since inception in 2012, precisely June 4th.
This character, is it?
The character of generating hostilities that is tendentious, that is pregnant with meaning, that has political implication, that seem to portray them as being driven by certain ambitious characters within and outside the university over the tenure of the vice chancellor.
Just before we go into the politics of it all, we had a colleague of yours from the University of Lagos who has the ASUU in Lagos, and he talked about both of you being in the Department of Philosophy. Is that correct?
And that's what I've just said.
Actually, does that have anything to do with the crisis also at hand?
I mean,
do you think it could also be because of the discipline that you're also in?
Well, it is in the philosophical discipline to be creative, to be critical, and also we describe our discipline as second order inquiry. That whatever happens, there should be another abstract subjective inquiry.
One would think that philosophers, would generally take these things easy and
no, you are talking
see beyond these things and know that there ought to be a greater cause.
Philosophers agree and sometimes disagree. They disagree to agree, but for the crisis of the moment in the university, it is just by accident that two of us in the same discipline are taking different positions.
Not by design.
Not by design.
But did you hear his explanation about how you said it dragged the university to court? He explained how that came about.
Yes, I'm coming to that. And when I talked about the hostility that is in their character, I mean that since the inception of that ASUU NAYU-led executive, there has been crisis. And they have given us the impression or painted the picture that they want to oust the Vice Chancellor at all costs. There have been three phases. The first phase is liberious write-ups being pasted against the Vice Chancellor on the internet.
What did they contain?
They contained abuse of fund, abuse of administration, and so on.
You think it cannot be substantiated?
Of course, they have not been substantiated. they have just died down. When they failed in that agenda, then they moved over to the issue of the tenure of the Vice Chancellor. The Vice Chancellor came to power roughly 4 years ago, and he acted for almost a year before assuming a substantive position. Now, that acting capacity has never been counted, neither is it counted anywhere. President Goodluck Jonathan's case is a good example. And our own Vice Chancellor's case should not be a different thing. So they continue to hammer on that and saying that the Vice Chancellor must go by June this year. They were not able to substantiate that. That failed again. Then they moved on again to take another dimension of creating crisis upon crisis in the university. Unfortunately and incidentally, the declaration of ASUU strike provided them with another phase of activities against the management of the university, and by implication, the university as a whole. Listen, as Nnamdi Azikiwe University started the exam about a week before the declaration of ASUU strike, and that is in June. Now,
you say a week before the declaration of ASUU strike?
Yes, we started our practical exams on 2nd.
When did this particular session take place? I mean, the session where your colleague was addressing students and saying, this is the reason why we're saying you should go home.
No, it's for this particular exam.
I know.
During the period of this exam.
You mean the exams were already on?
No, the exam had started. Yes, the exams were on.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the point I'm trying to make. That prior to the declaration of the ASUU strike, exam had started in the Nnamdi Azikiwe University. Practical exams. And the Vice Chancellor was...
Practical exams were not theoretical exams.
They were not theoretical exams. The theoretical exams followed up after 5 days or thereabouts. And the Vice Chancellor called them after the declaration of the national strike. Let us discuss and see how we can manage and finish this exam so that the student will go. And of course, we, the ASUU Progressive, were of the opinion that the exam should be completed. I get my point. This body of executive of ASUU, led by Professor Ike Odumegwu, said no, that the university must join the strike.
Well, he talked about the period of grace.
Yes, that period of grace, I'm coming to that. We know that ASUU has a provision of making an arrangement for an ongoing examinations or events in the university to be completed. Some university did that. University of Ilori is totally out of it because of their peculiar problem. And so, ASUU National remains silent on that. Imo State University finished the exam. Nsukka finished the exam. Kobe State University finished the exam. As a matter of fact, even as the strike was going on, defense exams for MA and PhDs went on at the University of Nigeria. So given that, the Vice Chancellor felt that there should be an arrangement to complete this exam. Let them take this message to the national body, since it can be considered. The ASUU NAIU-led executive said no, that we must join